Uh, okay, we're trying to establish contact with Doc very shortly. He's going to join in as we have a
Yes, Kwame, I
conversation.
can hear you. And
Ah,
how are you? Good afternoon to all of.
yeah, Doc. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Because Doc's line needs surgery. I need to I need to fix Doc's line. You take it to the theater or you know what I mean? Yeah, Dr. Lexis got to fix it. Okay, so we started a conversation a couple weeks back. That's 2 weeks ago about blood groups, blood types, and what they mean and how you determine your blood type and your blood group and all of those. Do you know your blood group though? Yeah. Today we have a sequel to that conversation. Last week we weren't able to have it because we had a breaking news story, but today we continue that conversation and hopefully we can round it up with the drive doctor. We're still trying to establish contact with him, and very shortly we'll do that.
Joy 99.7 FM.
Right after this break, we'll get back to the drive doctor.
I won! I won again! I won! Oh! I won again! Oh! This MTN spin the wheel. It is simple. Yeah, top up your airtime. Text spin to 5040 and win your prize. Simple. And you can win up to 30,000 Ghana cedis every month. Text VIP to 5040 to enjoy 10 additional points. I won! Oh!
MTN. Everywhere you go.
From a shocking story of her ex-husband back in town and the more shocking revelation of his engagement to a girl he takes a strong liking to.
And now she's asking me to plan the wedding. A wedding that should be my wedding. My wedding!
To Ajili's suspicion of her husband's infidelity and gradually upgrading herself to be a modern lady.
Look, I'm a very beautiful woman, eh? Intashini disturbing peace of mind.
And to Amma and Phoebe's reconciliation.
I am going to look for a very fine, sexy young man. Time.
Starring Ajete Anand, Nikki Samonas, Rosalind Ingisa, Amanda GC, and many more. Who is Fifi going to end up with? Amma or AC? Join us in this new season of All Walks of Life. The action is all happening at Access Bank YouTube channel and Instagram TV every Friday from 9:01 p.m. Premiering this 2nd of July. All Walks of Life is sponsored by Casa Preco Carnival Liquor and brought to you by Access Bank. Access Bank, more than banking.
That's right. Drive chat here on Joy 99.7 FM. Let's get to speak to the drive doctor now. Hey, Doc, can you hear me now?
Yes, Kwame, I can hear you now.
That's
good
really
afternoon
good.
to all our listeners, and how are you?
Very well. And how are you two?
Very well. It's been a long 2 weeks. I think last week, IGP no cross here.
Yes. Yeah, that was when we announced the new IGP, so we couldn't get to
that
do the
was
show.
the news of the new IGP. So I think we missed last week.
Yes.
And yeah, so it's been 2 weeks since we had a conversation. But I'm doing good, and Medicus is fine.
That's really good to know. So we had a conversation about blood and blood types.
Yeah.
You shared some very good information with us, explained the ABO and RH systems.
RH system.
Yeah, I remember all of that. The rhesus, is that what you call it? The rhesus
Yes,
system?
resource.
Rhesus
Yes,
systems.
resource. But
You actually
now
mentioned
these days
that.
we want to call it the RH.
Yeah, you
RH
actually
system.
mentioned that there are a few more as well. There's the Duffy, Cal, Lutheran, and the Lowit system.
Kwame, what kind of now?
Oh,
Hey,
brother in medicine. My brother in medicine. I got this.
Well done. That's good.
So you talked about the blood group A has the A antigens on the red blood cells with B anti-B but antibodies and then
Yes, anti-B antibodies.
aha,
Right.
That's it.
So the A will have A antigens on the red cells, and then they would have B antibodies in their plasma, the fluid part of the blood.
Yeah, yes.
And then the B will have B markers,
Yeah.
and then they will have the opposite, the A antibodies.
Yes.
So the antibodies are going to fight. So you can't produce antibodies that will fight something that you have. So it will only fight the opposite, what you don't have. And then we said the O, they don't have anything at all on their red cells, and therefore they have both the A antibodies and then the B antibodies.
Right. That's
And
very
then
true.
the AB guys, they have, because they have both A and then they have B markers, they don't have any antibodies at all.
Yeah.
And today we'll look at the relevance of that in terms of who gives blood to whom.
Okay. So let's get to also understand how the blood type is determined.
Right. So once again, good afternoon to all our listeners, and we're starting a bit late, so we'll try and run through. But Kwame, last week we had a lot of questions from our listeners, so we would like to field a lot more questions today. So
Okay.
I'm just going to touch on a few things. Blood type is determined mainly by inheritance. It's like eye color; it is passed genetically from your parents. So knowing the blood group of your parents, we can hazard a guess as to what your blood group is. But it is not as straightforward as people think. That if, say, for example, your mother is A and your dad is B, then you are going to be AB.
Okay.
No, it doesn't work that way. It is slightly more complicated. We won't get into those details today, or if time permits, then probably we'll do that, or we'll do that at the open clinic where I'll go into a bit more explanation. But it is inherited, and at a certain level, we can tell using the blood group, knowing the blood group of mother and the biological mother and the biological father. We
Okay.
can tell whether a child belongs to a set of two individuals or not. Kwame, I'm sure you've heard about this universal donor thing.
Yes.
And the universal recipient. So today I wanted to mention that as well. It's a lot of questions that people, ask me about. So universal donor, who is a universal blood donor? We use that expression to talk about people who can give blood to any of the ABO RH blood types, blood systems.
Okay.
Yes. So a universal donor means you can give blood. When we take your blood, we can give it to anybody at all, and we don't really need to even check. So it's like shooting in the dark.
Okay.
And these are individuals with O blood group. Using the ABO system, they are O, and then using the RH system, they are negative. So if you put the two together, we'll say these donors are those with O negative blood type. These individuals possess no marker, if you like, on their red cells. And therefore, when used for transfusions, or when their blood type is used for transfusions, the receiving patient does not recognize the transfused cells as foreign, because there's no marker to differentiate them as foreign. Well, I'm sure you like airplanes, right?
Yeah.
Warplanes. Yes. They have this B-52 stealth bomber. Well, they call it stealth because it gets into the opposition's airspace without the radar going ping, 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 ping.
Right.
So it's stealth. It can come into your space and there's no alert that there is something foreign in your space. And you can look at universal donors as the stealth bombers. They can come in, or when we transfuse, the recipient doesn't identify them. Nothing pops up on the radar, and therefore it doesn't attack to destroy it.
And that's the O negative.
That is O negative. So O negative blood is typically used in emergency transfusion situations, because in emergency situations, we don't have time to say, we're now going to do grouping and we're going to do cross match. So you just grab the blood, and the time it will take for you to do the grouping to know whether it is O type blood, you're just giving it if it is O negative. Because it is such, it has this very unique attribute. It is routinely in short supply and in high demand by all hospitals. So it is not that it is rare, it is the most common blood type. But because the O negative blood is the universal blood type needed in emergency transfusions, it is also the one in high demand.
Okay.
So most of the time we don't have it. So if you are out there, you're listening to me right now, you listen to us today, and you are an O negative type individual, you are a very, very special person. We need you to be registered to a nearby hospital facility, because in cases of emergency, sometimes we may need to call you to bleed you after we ask a few questions to save lives. So the O negative individuals under the ABO RH system are very, very special individuals. We call them the universal blood donors.
Okay.
Now, we also have the concept of the universal blood recipient. So, again, we use that expression to talk about individuals who can also receive blood from any other group without having a problem. So remember we said, if you are A, then you need to get blood from blood group A. If you are B, you get blood from blood group B, and so on and so forth. But you've got these individuals too who can take blood from anybody. And these individuals are the AB positive type. AB positive. So, Kwame, I don't know whether there's this chart that I have, and I think I shared it with you earlier about red blood cell compatibility table. Mm-hmm. It's a table where you see green marks, ticks, and then red crosses in there, looking at the different blood groups and who can be a donor and can be a recipient. So, again, individuals who are AB, these individuals have A markers and B markers on their red cells. Mm-hmm. Because they have these markers, in the fluid part of the blood, they wouldn't produce any anti-A or anti-B antibodies. Because if they do, then it means they will destroy their own cells. Remember, the antibodies fight and destroy red cells with the marker, bearing the marker of their name. Mm-hmm. So if you have A and B red cells on your markers on your red cells, you will not have any antibodies in your blood, and therefore you are able to receive blood from A, blood from B, blood from O without any problem. So then you are a universal blood recipient if you have the blood type AB positive. Meaning in cases of an emergency for you, when you go into hospital, any blood that is available, we give to you.
So the old guy who is the universal donor and can give to everybody, he can receive from just everybody?
No, they cannot.
Oh.
So yes, they are altruistic. They give freely. And they can't receive freely. Yes, that's why they are special people, because they are givers and they are treated. We try and bend over backwards to also accommodate them.
Oh,
because
nice.
All they do is help people.
A few of them have showed up on my WhatsApp. Mamiama in SEC says, so I'm that special. I'm O negative. Yeah, you are.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, because she's a helper. So Babiaba will help a lot of people, especially in emergency situations. In a way, the AB positive people, the universal recipients, they just receive it.
They don't give
from that person. So they are special, but they are not so special. The O negative people, they are the ones that we want. They are the special people. They are the ones who help everybody.
Shout outs to the O negative folks. If you are, please WhatsApp me and let me give you a shout out today. We celebrate you people
absolutely
for being good givers. Yeah.
Right. So Kwame, again, I want to talk about blood products. See, we use that term loosely when we say, I'm receiving blood. And I'm sure anytime I mention blood, the color that comes up or pops up in the eyes of in the minds of everybody is the color red. But when we take blood, what we mean is whole blood. The blood that is taken from the donor is called whole blood. That is what we have taken. But this blood can be processed into different products for use by patients who need them. So whole blood, the blood that we take directly, is just one type of blood that we prepare, which we give to patients. So this is complete blood, and it has everything. It has the fluid part, which we call the plasma. It has the white cells and platelets, which form just about 1%. And then it has red blood cells, which forms about 45%. That's why the color is red. And this is very, very useful when there is direct blood loss in situations such as a woman bleeding after childbirth, or in the very gory road traffic accidents that unfortunately we hear so much about. So that is whole blood. That is one blood product. But when we take this blood product, we can actually work on it and also have a preparation we call CRCs, concentrated red cells. Well, this package contains largely red cells with a little bit of fluid around it. The white cells and the platelets and then the bulk of the fluid part have all been removed, separated. We prefer this type in situations where somebody is severely anemic, meaning probably your HB is low. You go to the hospital, doctor looks under your eyes or your tongue, looks at your palms and says, you are very pale. Meanwhile, you are not bleeding. You don't have any obvious loss of whole blood, and you are anemic. Then we would prefer to transfuse you with this blood product we call CRCs, because that contains only red cells, and that is exactly what you need. Sometimes blood, when we set it up, has a yellow color. And yes, probably you heard me right, yellow color.
Wow.
And this is a blood product we call FFP. All right, so this one is usually yellow in color. It's fresh, frozen plasma. So we just take the fluid portion of the whole blood. And we do this by spinning, put it in the whole blood in this piece of equipment that spins the blood and separates the cells from the fluid part, and it shows the yellow portion, which we call plasma. Within the plasma, you have a lot of important substances. For example, blood clotting proteins are in there. I'm sure when this COVID hit and when Ebola hit, we all heard that one of the treatment measures for Ebola was to transfuse individuals who have fully recovered from the Ebola. We take their blood and then we transfuse the fluid part, which is the plasma, to people who are very, very ill, because we believe that their blood now has certain proteins or antibodies that can help others who are critically ill.
Okay.
So the plasma is used for things like people with clotting problems. Okay. And then you also have another preparation which we call the cryo. And this is also something that is used in individuals who have a particular clotting factor deficiency, hemophilia. I'm sure we've talked about hemophilia on this show in the past, where babies, unfortunately, or the individual bleeds spontaneously. We tend to see it in male babies who are circumcised the first time when they are newborns, and then they bleed. Would actually break it down.
Okay, good stuff. Very good education there, Doc. Now, I want to find out something. In the hospitals, do we buy the blood?
If you put it that way, do we buy the blood? No. The strict answer is no. But you make payments, some payments, yes. Unfortunately, yes. But blood is absolutely priceless.
Okay.
It's absolutely priceless. But then there's a cost to all of this, preparing the blood, making sure that it is safe. There's no hepatitis B in there, no hepatitis C, no HIV, no syphilis. It is a huge logistical operation that they run at the National Blood Transfusion Service. And then if you are far away from the National Blood Transfusion Service, then you as hospitals need to make arrangements to go and get it and be supplied and so on and so forth. So there is a fee that is paid, but I wouldn't describe it as buying blood.
Because Shem mixing your blood sends a message and says, please, can a blood type O negative human be donating his or her blood for money, as and when required? He says, I'm only asking because in hospitals the blood is sold, right? So who determines the price?
Please, we beg. The old people are begging you. Today, Dr. Sapo is begging you.
The old people, they want to sell their blood.
We need the blood, especially when COVID, over the past 1 year, the blood banks have been running dry. In medicals, we've got this wonderful arrangement with the schools. Up there on the mountains, there are about 13 different second cycle institutions.
Yeah.
And I'll mention a few of them. We have a wonderful relationship with Mampong Presbyterian Secondary School as one of them, Adontin Secondary School as one of them. We've got blood donor clubs in these institutions, and then Mount Sinai is also one of them. The students are always enthusiastic. The head teacher and the entire school management always very enthusiastic. We organize periodic sessions and then they donate so enthusiastically. They give out the blood, but the blood needs to be processed. Look, the blood service comes all the way from Koforidua and all the way from Accra, just to be able to collect the blood. So if you look at the logistics of it, it's an absolute nightmare. And what people end up paying for it is just a minimal processing fee.
Good stuff.
I wouldn't call it buying the blood.
Yeah.
So shout out to all the secondary schools that I just mentioned, and I would encourage a lot more to join.
Look, let me also say kudos to a lady who's doing so much on the blood front, organizing blood donation exercises. Mami K. Stevens.
Wow.
Yeah, she's. I think she's actually currently having one at Leicester Hospital where people can donate. It said tears of a mother cannot save her child, but your blood can. You know.
Exactly.
She said,
we see very dangerous situations where an accident and a blood vessel is torn, and it's just the person is just pouring, and that's the only way you can do it. You can help this person is to give something, some blood back. The worst thing that can happen to you is you're a doctor and you're in surgery, and unfortunately the patient is bleeding unexpectedly, and the only way you save it is give the person blood.
Yeah.
And so we really need it. And over the past few months, because of COVID, the blood banks have been running dry, and I would encourage everybody, to get a donor card, know your blood group. Wear it as a necklace, wear it as a bracelet, wear it as an anklet. You never know when you would be unconscious somewhere, be involved, unfortunately, touch wood, an accident, and you need to be transfused.
Yeah.
Such information comes in very, very handy.
So, a few questions here. Well, lots of questions, but we can't go through it again.
Right.
Lexis,
Let's do as much as we can.
Why are pregnant women given anti-D after they have given birth?
Right. So it goes to the incompatibility conversation that we had with regards to the RH system. So remember the RH system, you're either positive or you're negative. If a woman is negative and she achieves a pregnancy with a man who is positive, then that man would transmit his positive markers, RH positive markers, to the fetus. So the fetus that is going to grow in this woman who is RH negative will have RH positive red cells from the man she attained the pregnancy with. The moment the RH positive cells is growing in an RH negative woman, her body would recognize the RH positive cells as foreign to her body. She doesn't know about them. So she would start to make soldiers or antibodies. She would start to mount an immune response against the red cells. Most of the time, by the time she has mounted a strong enough immune response, the 9 months is up and then she has delivered. But the antibodies, the soldiers are now firmly in place. The next pregnancy this woman would have, it won't last 3 months. The antibodies will totally wipe out any red cells that has the RH marker. If the man she achieves the next pregnancy with also has an RH positive marker. So this is what we call the RH incompatibility, and it leads to miscarriages and then what we call intrauterine fetal death, where the baby dies in utero. To prevent this, we will give the mother some antibodies, and that is what we call the anti-D. Typically, if we find it early, we will give it somewhere around 28 weeks and somewhere around 34 weeks as well.
Okay, good stuff. There are lots of questions, but I doubt we can really go through all that. So if you can share your contact for those who would want to reach out to you.
Right. So maybe when we have the open clinic, we'll take a lot more of those questions. So the number is 0501 477 340. 0501 477 340.
All right. Thank you so much, Doc. Great hanging with you on our drive chat today.
You're welcome, Kwame.
Dr. Yao Safo is CEO of Medicas Hospital, Mampong and Medina Firestone. Let me one more time say kudos to you, Mami K. Stevens. And thanks for all the work that you're doing in helping that we have blood in our hospitals. Kojo Menu has the latest update in news. Kojo, what's happening?
So headline news at 5 with me, Ernest. And our Cape Coast High Court has cancelled